Some philosophers claim that if you want to have a better child, give him education. And education is the basis of everything else.
Yet Zambia is also a country full of life and commerce. Economic growth has been slow, yet consistently present. Literacy levels are among the highest in Africa, and a burgeoning tourist trade has begun to take root. Zambia is a country of mixed fortunes, but constant hope. And ever present during this struggle has been a small number of dedicated missionaries, caregivers, and teachers. On the 14th of July 1905, the first Jesuit mission was founded in a small locality called Chikuni in the south. To this day, Chikuni is at the heart of the Jesuit experience in Zambia, and nowhere is that more evident than in St. Canisius High School. Despite its remote location, it is widely regarded among the best schools in Zambia.
Canisius is a reputable school. Everyone would want his or her child to come to Canisius. Every minister, every manager, anyone who values education would want the child to come to Canisius.
In grade 9, a pupil who was in grade 9 last year got the highest number of points for grade 9 in the history of Zambia.
The pupils get up at 5:30 every morning. Before class begins at 7:15, they have swept the school and cleaned the classrooms. Despite a short period for sports and recreation, they will study until 9 o'clock at night.
Most of them are eager to learn, and they always want to push you. You have those who are fast learners, they want to say, we are spending too much time on this topic. Why can't we do another topic?
What is it that is common to anything that lives and breathes? Yes, a cell. A cell is something that is common to all living organisms.
So who can tell us what we are supposed to do?
The Jesuits provide bursaries to many students who otherwise would be unable to attend school. One such student is Kelvin Muita, who walks 9 kilometers to class every morning.
Those Jesuits, they give us the school fees, full school fees. They help us, and they also help us in other problems. Like if you have lacking of money, they give us money to buy clothes and other things like that.
The Jesuits have played a big role in my life that I'm able to do my classworks, and they're able to give me money so that I could buy my school books and clothing. They've played a big role in my life. Education will make me help my family after school, because my family is very poor.
I am very lucky to be here because it's practically the best school in the whole southern province, in the whole school, in the whole nation. It is among the top schools. So I'm very lucky to be here, and everyone else that is here would also say they're very lucky.
Of the 43 teachers in Canisius, the Jesuits account for 8, but their influence reaches much further.
Yes, the Jesuits have a great influence in the school, especially that even they are the ones who are helping the infrastructure of the school, and they subsidize a lot to the boarding section.
And they are a role model to commitment, they are a role model to quality teaching, and teachers have a model to look at. And that's why our teachers really, they try to be like the Jesuits. And so the presence of the Jesuits is very essential in the school, because they demonstrate that commitment, the value of the importance of work, and so that is very essential for us.
The Jesuits, in the first place, they want to help the needy, the poorest of the poor, to help them come up. And the only way one can manage to do that is getting involved in education.
We know that Jesuit education is whole-rounded education, and we are looking at a situation where they create an integral person who is able to be of benefit to the community and to himself.
The Jesuits fathers being here, it makes a very big difference because they have the heart for the pupils.
The majority of the Jesuit teachers in Canisius are Zambian and in fact from the local area itself.
Yeah, for me that's a very great movement in the sense that because the local Jesuits, the people who have joined that, the local Jesuits who are joining, they're looking at it from a different angle and making the people realize that this is our thing. It's not like it's a foreign thing that has been introduced, but it has been introduced quite all right, but let us hone it and see how we are going to progress. As a local person, you really understand whom you are dealing with. Because they are one like you.
I happen to be a former student at this school, and the time I was here in grade 8, the Jesuit community house had about 5 nationalities living together. And for me, that was inspiring.
If you make a survey in Zambia, most of these high positions in parastatal organizations, in the government, they are all Canadians. I must say that you throw a stone in any government institution in Zambia, it will hit a Canadian.
That very success that the school has achieved is a testament to the Jesuit ethos for education.
They are the pioneers of education. And without the Jesuits, the people around this area would not be educated. And Chikuni can boast of having the most educated people in Zambia. Without them, I don't know where the Chikuni people would be.
700 people's lives, it is in our hands. How are we going to send them to the world? So we are trying to teach them to be competent. And when we send them to today's world and we say, think of others. When they leave the school, there should be some difference that they have to contribute to this world.
A greater knowledge of the outside world can, however, lead to problems. One criticism levied at missionary groups is their lack of support for indigenous cultures.
Talking to the people themselves, they used to be complaining that when the children were finished, they said they were empty. They were grateful for teaching them how to read and write, etc., but they said they had lost their culture.
The Mukanzubu Kalinda Institute aims to provide knowledge of the Tonga tradition and marry it with the educated younger generation.
That's the most thing we're trying to achieve, is to go to modern and grab the traditional, put them together, and then it becomes something that everyone will be happy when we look at it.
Last year, over 200 boys and girls attended the centre that promotes their own traditional values. Topics covered include dance, crafts and a history of their past.
We have to teach them about to focus. Exercise is very important for a girl. For example, this is a music for instrument for your chin. And then there's a special sound to teach them how to focus in life. The second one, when they want to go to toilet, they are not supposed to speak or to call. They are going to use this. The important thing about this traditional instrument is when a man wants to get married, they will sing this the whole day, no eating, no drinking. And the mother will say, okay, we've heard. And he will make sure he sits on the veranda of the kitchen so that the mother will hear him. So, traditional instrument to ask for a woman.
The Institute has created a number of projects that create an income to help with funding. Father Frank Wafer, in fact, has published the only school books ever written in the Tonga language. The beadwork, designed by the students, has also proved very popular.
What we have here is the African jewelry, the traditionals of the jewelry which are made by the girls you have met there. For example, I'll take this one, the jewelry here. This jewelry belongs to the men, because the men in olden days, they would take this, make this with the clay and kill the animals. The whole idea of this jewelry, traditional jewelry, is to help the girls to know where they came from, the foundation, so that as they go back to the university, they will know their background.
It's important because here we learn how a Tonga woman is supposed to respect herself.
It's important, yes. That's why we're trying to do enculturation, so that one person can get both cultural and modern things, so that we put them together.
Of course, while the lack of traditional values is an important topic, it pales in comparison to the scourge of all African nations, HIV. Home-based care is a scheme that facilitates the distribution of HIV medication and care. Today, they are embarking on some home visits. Initially, the carers went to each individual house, but the numbers have grown too large and they now meet as a community.
These are the people who were tested and found to be HIV positive. So this group are the people who are positive and they are living positively with their HIV status.
The day begins with Monica distributing the medical files for infected patients. Some families have more than one. A brief physical is then taken and the medication is handed out.
Yes, we are all of us, we are sick here.
The topic today was on adherence. So he was teaching his friends how to take the pills properly, what time one should take, and not to abuse even alcohol and some drugs.
Children diagnosed with HIV can, for the first time, survive to see adulthood, given the proper medication and, importantly, a nutritious diet.
We have programs like the gardens. Why we started the gardens is that we are taking care of people who are positive and whose immunity is very low. And if they have got poor diet, even if we come like we are here today giving them medicines, it won't work properly. And medicines, they work with the food. So we started the gardens for them to grow nutritious foods. This is our garden for people living with the HIV and AIDS. In this garden, we are using the fertility trenches because we don't want them to use any fertilizers. So they grow things like tomatoes, onions, and cabbage, and some rape. The purpose of this garden is for them to have, first of all, nutritious foods. And then, if they have got surplus vegetables and fruits, they will sell those so that they can get money to buy whatever they want.
One of the success stories of the home-based care program is Bensoni Chiabi. Despite suffering from HIV, he has created a fertile and profitable garden using the methods taught to him by the program.
So ndirangulubidde bubembe ndibedde mukuti ndachikwana kuyima kubantha akupambira kuti edi nimenda pona akazonda basathu chenjere ichi chinthu khochiri.
One of the key principles from UNAIDS, the United Nations Joint Programme for responding to HIV and AIDS, is that it must have grassroots involvement. And that grassroots involvement is guaranteed through home-based care. It's helping people to live and to live a decent life.
Even in a town as remote as Chikuni, the media plays an important part in everyday life. As a result, the Jesuits founded Radio Chikuni, a locally run radio station that aims to both educate and entertain.
We find out what the challenges are in the community, and then how do we help them be the ones to find those solutions by providing a platform through which they could discuss those challenges.
Radio Chikuni is a community radio station dedicated, one, to the preservation of the Tonga culture, and secondly, to changing the mindset of the community through our programming that is development oriented. So we exist basically to make this community better through programs that talk about health, that preach against certain traditional practices that does put certain people at risk of contracting disease or treating them in a way that is so denigrating.
Although part-funded by the Jesuits, the station earns a sizable income from recording local bands and selling the tapes and CDs to the people.
What we did as a radio station, we realized that there was a lot of talent within this community, musicians especially. So we started what we call the concert, or the annual Tonga Music Festival, where local bands come to compete and produce music. So when we started, the idea was just to revive, preserve, and encourage the development of Tonga traditional music, and also that the people should not run away from their roots. But then people started demanding for this music, that they could have it and play it at their own time instead of only listening to the radio once in a while when that particular song is played. So then we started with the tape production. People wanted some tapes to keep in their homes. When we started, for example, the music concert, we realized that for a long time there's been a gap. There hasn't been the passing on from generation to generation of the traditional way of life here. And so we took it upon ourselves to kind of preserve and promote culture, even knowing that it is dynamic, but the essentials of who the people are should remain within themselves.
The station also produces programs on farming practices, HIV awareness, women's rights, social justice, and local news.
So overall, I think because we are part of the community, we understand what their problems are, and we talk about issues that directly affect them. I think in that way we are relevant and we are important to the community.
For a few hours every day, Radio Chikuni broadcasts lessons to those who don't have access to a conventional classroom. These radio schools are run by a wind-up radio and a local volunteer teacher.
Please write a new ending for the story in your books.
It's so important because it's helping the vulnerable children to get the basics in education. Because really we believe, Chikuni Parish believes that without education there can be no development. We are really very proud. Our children are doing very fine. They have the mentors with them who work like bees. They don't relax. They have no salaries. They just volunteer like that. They are just after development in their own areas. We work in conjunction with the Ministry of Education. So whatever we are doing is fully recognized by the government of Zambia.
And now, ask, how long is my whole body?
We started in 2000 and piloted in 2 centers only with 37 learners. This time we have 16 centers with 1,500 learners.
Such success in education goes further than the classroom. When the Jesuits first settled in Chikuni, they introduced the plough to the local population. This simple introduction revolutionised farming in the area and sowed the seed for what was to become the Canisius Agricultural Training Centre in Lusaka. Founded and operated by the Jesuits, the training centre aims at training small-scale farmers in modern production activities and practices.
Agriculture in Zambia is very important. If you look at its contribution to GDP, it may not look that important because it's about 23% of GDP at present. But in terms of the numbers of people that it supports, it becomes critical. And any intervention aimed at development should target agriculture as an engine for growth.
The importance of Kasisi, however, lies in its attempt to educate the Zambian farmers in how to modernise and fend for themselves in an increasingly difficult way of life.
The problems facing small-scale farmers in Zambia are many and varied, and some have persisted for many, many years. Among them is capacity in terms of knowledge and skills on the various technologies and practices. Markets, access to markets is another. Sometimes even just information, access to information is a problem. Information in terms of production technologies, information in terms of market, information in terms of what crops they can produce, all those things are affecting farmer productivity and production.
The courses cover 16 topics and range from 5 days to 6 weeks in length. Areas covered include sustainable agricultural practices and technologies, organic production, seed multiplication, and agribusiness.
Yeah, the work is important in the sense that we are able to supplement what the government is doing, and we are looking at our small-scale farmers within our catchment area who cannot afford to buy expensive fertilizers. We give them an alternative in the production, and then we are able to bring the farmers together. They are able to market their produce as a team, so that actually makes their work easy, because to get a good market you need some bulk. So as I'm talking now, our farmers are supposed to supply 10 tons of Sanem and 10 tons of velvet beans to Zimbabwe. So the farmers we are working with who are certified organic have brought their seed together, and anytime it will be shipped to Zimbabwe.
Generally, farmers have been very pleased with what they've learned at KATC. Those who've gone out to implement and have seen the benefits of sustainable agriculture are definitely very pleased because their costs have gone down, their productivity has gone up, and they're able to finance various costs which they were not able to finance before.
Nyofunikira maningi chabe munjira yakuti titandizako isa mafamilizi yatu na kubwera kupunzira kasinta kama crops zinango zamene batitandizako kulima kwamene tilima kuti tiyuzinga manyowa tiyuzinga organic, so tionako kuti chipepukirako than kuononga ndrama yogula fertilizer. So tikapunzira kuno kuchitando manyowa, kuchita apply manyowa, so tipezamo benefit amene titandiza mafamilizi yatu.
Yani ofunikira chifukwa titandiza ife balimi wang'ono mu moyo watu na mabanja yatu.
Also in Lusaka is the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, the JCTR. Their purpose is to raise public awareness of the issues that affect Zambian people through bulletins, seminars, government lobbying and the press.
Well, the main goal is enshrined in our mission, which is to foster a critical understanding of current issues in Zambia, political, economic, social and otherwise, with a view towards generating activities to address the pressing challenges of the day.
From the surveys that we conduct at the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, one of those most popular surveys will be the Basic Needs Basket, which looks at the cost of living for an average family size. And what we've been seeing is that despite the government saying that inflation levels are going down, the cost of living is still going up, according to our Basic Needs Basket.
This alternative to the Consumer Price Index is just one of the many initiatives the JCTR is known for.
We contribute to the formulation of public policies or social policies. The formulation, for example, of the national development plans, we always are consulted and we contribute to that. The national budgets, the Constitution.
Yet despite the weight behind the JCTR's policy-making influence, they find it frustrating at times.
Many people still think that social change and social justice should be brought about by other people rather than themselves, should be brought about by churches, NGOs, rather than themselves. So even though they will speak about social change, social justice, development, they would still expect that others would be the ones to bring about that change.
This twofold approach to development and change is indicative of the Jesuit method. They provide the assistance and the tools to educate a community, and then ask that the community help itself.
Unquestionably, the Jesuits have made a very, very significant contribution to education here in Zambia. Their education centre in the southern province, St. Canisius, has educated thousands of young Zambians who possibly would not otherwise have received an education. And as a consequence, many of these people went on to become ministers, senior officials, doctors, nurses, the sort of people that are required to build their country. And that is the contribution that the Jesuits have made to the development of Zambia.
I think the greatest achievement is that now, of our total number, about half of us are Zambians or Malawians. In other words, that we've achieved our death. That is the death of a person like me who was born elsewhere and came into the country, that we have localized the Society of Jesus Jesuits within Zambia, and it's becoming stronger and stronger locally.
Their tireless work ethic has been passed down from generation to generation and ensures a continued Jesuit presence among the people and future of Zambia.
So